Hi, I'm Marshall Chess, and you're watching Press to Play.
Can we go back in time here and start from the beginning? I read somewhere that your first memory was a shooting at the bar with your father.
Yes, my father had a nightclub, and he was recording music there. That's when he got interested in starting the record business in Chess Records. But my father took me once to see my uncle there, and as we walked in the door, there were gunshots. And he threw me over the bar like a football to my uncle, who laid on top of me on the floor. And of course, to this day, stale alcohol and old cigarette smell is in my brain from my heavy uncle laying on my little 4-year-old body, you know? That was my introduction to black music.
I have all you good-looking women fishing after me.
Well, my father started Chess Records in 1950 after that nightclub burned down, and started with the great electric blues artist Muddy Waters, who did the record Rolling Stone that gave the name to the Rolling Stones. And then we had many blues stars: Howlin' Wolf, Sonny Boy Williamson, Memphis Slim, John Lee Hooker. And then in 1955, it was the birth of rock and roll with Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, which really became the foundation of rock and roll. So I grew up in it ever since a young child. Always worked at the office, and it's my life. It's never been a job to me. I've been one of those lucky guys who's never had a job. Music is my life, and I'm so proud of what my father and uncle did, how it affected the whole sound of rock and roll.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
You remember first time you met Muddy Waters?
I sure do. He came to my house to visit my father. I had never met him before. This big Cadillac pulled up, and this guy walked out. He had a bright green suit on, and his shoes were covered in the fur of a cow, like two-tone fur, with his hair about 6 inches high. He looked down at me and said, "You must be young Chess. Is your daddy home?" That was the first time I met the great Muddy Waters.
How was he as a person?
He was great. I always say, if he lived in 100 years before, he would have been the chief of a tribe. He was a regal character, which is why he was a band leader and a great artist. But he always used to ask me about sex. People say, "What did Muddy Waters ask you when you were young?" And I said, "Yeah." He always said, "Did you get any yet? Did you have sex yet?" And I thought that was always funny, because they were all, most of those early blues songs, were about women and love. That was interesting.
Sex and alcohol.
Sex and alcohol.
I guess I just overslept.
Let's talk about the Rolling Stones. Do you remember the first time meeting the Stones?
Yes, in 1964. Well, strange enough, Keith Richards just came out with his book, and he mentions that I sent albums to Mick Jagger, and it's true. When Mick Jagger sent to Chess Records for blues albums, I was working in the mailing room and sent it to him. 1964, received a phone call from the manager of the Rolling Stones saying they wanted to record at Chess Records studio. And I arranged it, and that's when I met them personally. And then in 1969, 5 years later, I was the one who went to work with them and founded Rolling Stones Records. The first album was Sticky Fingers, and then with the Tongue in the Lips logo, and then Exile on Main Street, and 5 more. I worked for 7 years with them.
The best albums.
I don't know if they were the best, but to me, I loved the Rolling Stones period with Mick Taylor playing guitar. It was some kind of beautiful counterplay between Keith and Mick. But Ronnie Wood's a great guitar player too. He just plays a lot like Keith does, strong rhythm.
Do you have any strong memories with the Stones when you look back?
Yes, I do actually. I played trumpet as a teenager, and on the 1973 tour, I was able to play trumpet on 8 shows, the last 3 numbers of the Rolling Stones. And it was a concert where Mick Jagger threw rose petals on every member. And when he came the first time to the horn section, and all the energy of 30,000 kids It was amazing. I mean, it's something I can't even describe, but I could see why they still keep performing, because it's a thrilling feeling, almost like your mother's love or something, when people are focusing all their love and attention on you. It's amazing. I used to laugh. I could have lunch with Keith's wife Anita, and then go down the street to have dinner with Bianca, Mick's wife. That was part of my job, to be in the middle, to keep things. But I would have to say Keith and I became the closest. But I had strong connections to both Charlie and to Mick Jagger, and they were the ones that I really had the most personal attention to.
The way I make love to a woman, you just can't resist.
I hear you.
You who worked with the greatest artist in the world, what defines a great artist for you?
There's a passion to succeed. Most of them that I've met have a deep love of music, the history of music. They've been listening a long time. But you know, it's a magical thing with music, and it's very hard to put into words. I mean, even with the Rolling Stones, what would fascinate me and all the chess artists is when they started to reform, this kind of magical thing takes over. The ones that don't become stars, it doesn't happen, you know? But there's something special inside of them that comes out when they perform. And if they're really good, it can even come through a DVD or a CD, and everyone feels it. Those are the ones that make it. The ones that make it for a long time. It's easy to have a one-hit artist, but the ones with depth are special people.
If you have to say 5 of the most important rock and roll or blues records of all time, what would that be? Or songs?
Well, for me, of course, since chess is the foundation, I would say you would have to pick Muddy Waters and then go to Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. That's right there, the foundation of rock and roll. And then, of course, I was a Stones fan. And then at the other side of the picture would be the Beatles. But I also have a deep love for rhythm and blues. Artists like Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, fantastic. Etta James makes me cry when she sings, you know. But I like black music primarily, but I was very impressed with those English groups that took it on and made a whole new sound, you know. Rock and roll changed the world, and I'm so proud that my family had something to do with that, you know.